At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
Cleveland! Welcome to The Office, the show where we discuss, speak, and talk about all things sports. I'm your host, Noah, joined with my co-host, Matt, and you can join us, too, at The Office. Call, text the show, 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Don't feel like calling? That's totally fine. Leave us a comment wherever you're watching, whether that be YouTube, Facebook, X. We always appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Helps us grow the show a ton. Matt, buddy, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful day out in Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. Gotta love it.
I always think it's corny when shows start with talking about the weather, but we're in Ohio. It is February and we broke 50 degrees, damn it. So we are allowed to talk about the weather because that's exactly how I was going to start my take this time too. I was going to contradict myself, but enough about the weather. You didn't turn into the Weather Channel. You tuned into The Office to listen to a little bit of sports talk on your Monday afternoon. Matt, spring training has started officially for the Guardians. Tell me a little bit about it, man.
You know, I mean, you love to see the best team in baseball back on the diamond. We're 3 games in. We've lost 2 of them. Doesn't matter. We're still going 82-0. Tristan McKenzie, he's going to win the Cy Young this year. Book it now. He had a very good first game back. I was really happy with that. Rocchio, off to a hot start, might win MVP. Who knows? Save that one for later, too. Lane Thomas, going to probably hit 55 home runs this year. I mean, the man's an absolute beast.
Lane train, baby.
And Ben Lively. I mean, if Tristan McKenzie doesn't win the Cy Young, Ben Lively might, too. Who knows? We might both win it. They might split it between them because they're both going to be that good.
I love all of your overreactions over 3 games of preseason baseball because I'm with you too. I have always been a huge Tristan McKenzie fan. I know his actual statistics haven't been pointing to him being the absolute best and being back to his form. But when you look at the advanced metrics and that kind of thing, it's looking like it could be there, right? The speed's back on his pitch. A lot of positive signs going into this year. And hopefully he can go back to what he was, because we could use all the help we can get in the pitching room for the Cleveland Guardians for the 2025 season.
No, I mean, absolutely. He only had 2 innings to pitch, but his fastball was up to 94.2 average. That's back around where it was when he was elite. And then I think the other big thing to look at was his 66% strike rate. That's another very good number for him to be putting up. And like I said, that's 2 games or 2 innings. But it's the right start, and we're on the right track. And I'm a huge fan of him like you are as well. So I'd love to see it.
110%. But listen, we couldn't do this show without one sponsor that has sponsored us graciously on both the Monday and the Wednesday show, and that is D&D Meadery. Shout out to Derek and Dominic. Ooh, I almost overshot that. Shout out to Derek and Dominic. Beautiful, fantastic tasting honey wine straight from Northeast Ohio. Use code @the-office CLE for 5% off. Buy 2 bottles. You get this fantastic. I am missing with the camera today. I apologize. You get this fantastic shot glass included at no extra cost. 5% off. Great tasting honey wine. Why not go try it? dndmeadery.org for all your honey wine needs.
All right. I mean, now listen, no, we could talk Guardians all night. We could talk Mead all night.
I'll talk about D&D until the day I die.
At some point, though, we do have to move on to your 7-game win streak Cavaliers. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. This is the fun part about being a Cleveland fan right now is this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They went out there without Darius Garland last night against the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the 2nd best record in the West right now. And I don't want to say they beat up on them because it was a back and forth game. There was a fight. There was drama. But when it came down to it, Ty Jerome stepped up in Darius Garland's place, dropped 15 points in the 4th quarter to bolster a Cavs win. Donovan Mitchell had 33 points. Evan Mobley was insane. He had 25 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks. He was looking like the unicorn that he is out there. Absolutely love to see it. This team is special. If you are a Cleveland fan, even if basketball is your third favorite sport, fourth, and you like hockey more, or you want to count some of these other college sports higher, you need to tune into this team. You need to tune into this team. The Cleveland Cavaliers are special, and they are going to be special for seasons to come.
Now there's Noah's address to all the Cleveland fans. I want to take a moment and flip that. I'm addressing everybody outside of Cleveland. All of you haters, all of you keyboard warrior losers that are calling this Cavaliers team soft, we're fighting on the court now. What do you have to say about that? We're not a soft team. We're going to come into your city, beat you up, score more points than you, and then walk out and have a great night in your city and then leave.
We have Jared Allen, Mr. The lights are too bright and we want to make it a meme, throwing checks against the Detroit Pistons because he thought he got punched in the face. This man got thrown out of the game a couple games ago. This team is something special, and I cannot wait until the NBA Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, I'm claiming the finals because this team is that damn good, and they have the chance to make it that far. But we could talk Cavs all day long, and it's all positive, but there's a lot of other talking points we want to get into. We want to talk about the quarterback options for the Cleveland Browns looking into the 2025 season. We will be right back to talk just about that after these commercial messages right here. And we are back at the office talking all things Cleveland sports, doing our thing, having a good time. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us grow the brand and the channel an absolute ton. Make sure you check out at theofficecle.com. Get you some merch. Matt, use this mug all the time, so it's in the dishwasher. Can't use it right now.
Again.
We have stickers. We have t-shirts. My t-shirt's still coming soon. Make sure you go check out over there. Shout out Fans First Sports Network for everything they do in supporting our show. Make sure you check out all of the articles we are writing over there for the website. And now, Matt, it's the moment we've been talking about for this show all week, really all weekend. We were having a couple libations together at a bar and decided we wanted to talk a little bit about the updated potential quarterback options for the Cleveland Browns. So we came up with the list. We're going to grade them like it's a middle school math paper from A+ to F and talk about their fit for the Cleveland Browns as being not the franchise quarterback, but the starting quarterback for this team in 2025. So, Matt, the first quarterback I present to you, Jacoby Brissett. Give me your breakdown.
So I gave Jacoby a C grade overall. I mean, I think it's clear as day. It's definitely not him. He's not the guy. You know, he's not going to win us a Super Bowl by any means whatsoever. He's a acceptable bridge quarterback, embrace the rebuild type guy. You know, I hate to use the tank word, but that would be your man there. That's how I feel about him. What do you have down for him, Noah?
Yeah, my grade for Jacoby Brissett is very similar to your grade in the fact that it is a C- because of all the reasons that you said. It's he's going to get the job done. He's looked solid in this offense before, but he's not going to get you anywhere past 500 in my opinion. So you're kind of going with this is a tank year, right? And we'll talk more about tanking on the Wednesday show. So make sure you tune in to the Wednesday show, 9 p.m. here on the channel, my X, everywhere that we stream the show. But I just don't think he's a good fit. We've seen him be a good fit for this team. He doesn't push the needle, and we don't have the roster where a quarterback that doesn't push a needle fits in terms of a playoff push. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Wouldn't be the guy for anything really outside of a tank.
The next guy I have on our big board is one Sam Darnold. What do you grade him, Matt?
I did not expect that picture. Anyway, I have Sam Darnold graded as a B.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about Kirk Cousins, especially, with his big free agency the last couple of years. He's a younger Kirk, but you're betting on 1 year versus a handful of years that aren't good. That's why I gave him a B. He can be solid. He's shown it, but there's a lot of dysfunction within Cleveland, and that's never good for a quarterback.
So I rate him a B minus for a lot of the same reasons, but in the fact that I do not like banking on 1 years for players, no matter the sport. So I give him a B minus because I think there's some potential here. I see a perfect fit in terms of a Kevin Stefanski offense for this quarterback. But overall, the price he still probably is going to command if the Vikings don't bring him back. I'm okay on it. You know what I mean? I just B minus. Like if they bring him in, cool. I just don't know how long of an answer this is really going to be, and if the price is worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is why I do think he's going to be way more expensive than he's truly worth.
Fair enough. Next quarterback that is a option for the Cleveland Browns is one Mac Jones. What are your thoughts?
My first thought was, why is he on the list? But he is an option. I guess you're right. I rated him a D plus. I mean, he does have a Pro Bowl year, like that happened. But he's got he's got a very minimal shot of the Sam Darnold year we just witnessed in my mind, and that's kind of what you would need out of him to be the guy. It's just not going to happen. He's a D, maybe a D plus.
Yeah, I wrote him as an F because I think if you go into the season expecting Mac Jones to be your starter and you to be a competitive team, you are smoking way too much of the good stuff, in my opinion, because we've seen it. We've seen the story. He's had his career. It's played out. Bailey Zappi outperformed him at times in New England. Yes, that roster wasn't the best, but we saw him be really good in his first year, and then that was about it. I just don't think Mac Jones is a tried and true starting quarterback in the NFL. And if the Browns sign him and he proves me wrong, like I'm going to be cheering for him, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. So to me, to go into the season with Mac Jones, I give it an F. Matt, the next guy, one, Daniel Jones, Mr. Dimes himself. What do you think?
This one I actually went back and forth with quite a bit. And I really wasn't sure how to grade him. I think New York is a horrible situation, so it's kind of tough to grade him off of that. However, I mean, it's got to be like a C minus at best. I was trying to be nice to the guy. He just doesn't give you anything to look for, and he's kind of the ideal tank job guy. Like, he's going to go out there and make it look like you're trying, but he's also going to lose you 14 games.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I wrote him down as a D. I have D plus. I meant D minus. I have him as a D minus. He's in the same realm as Mac Jones. I think there's a little bit more there of seeing a fit in terms of Kevin Stefanski. You know what? I've played with it twice. I'm going to leave it at a solid D because I think there's some thought process there of how it could work. I think if we go into the season with Daniel Jones being our starting quarterback, though, any of the other options that we have talked about, including Jacoby Brissett, just didn't pan out, and we were trying to figure out something that could maybe potentially work. And hey, who knows? Maybe Kevin Stefanski gets the most out of this guy, but I just don't see him continuing and being a fit. But there's the caveat too. He was the backup for a couple weeks in Minnesota where Sam Darnold got unlocked. Maybe he picked up something that will help him rejuvenate his career a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I would love to see it. And I've honestly been a fan of him as a player. Like, he just seems like a good guy. So even if it's not with Cleveland, he's kind of one I'm pulling for to bounce back.
For sure. I just remember thinking, why did they pick him so high when he got picked? He was an ACC Duke quarterback, and I think it's panned out about exactly as you'd expect an ACC Duke quarterback that went way too high, in my opinion, has gone. So expecting anything else out of him, to me, again, is just a little crazy. The next guy, we're going into the rookies a little bit here. I had to throw him in here because we're all Buckeyes fans here at the channel. One, Will Howard. Give me your thoughts.
I have him graded as a C minus, but I feel like that's not fair. I think he's the most accurate quarterback in this class. I think he's a very smart football player. However, he's been shooting up draft boards rapidly, meaning he's going to be hard to get. And we're going to either have to trade out of the number 2 spot or trade into the first round again and reach for him to get him. So that's why I gave him a slightly lower grade. But full honesty, out of the rookies we have, and this is probably going to be a hot take for you, Noah, he's the one I would be happiest with if we came out of the draft with him. What do you think about Willie?
Yeah, it's not really a hot take for me. It's almost, it feels like we're playing it too safe. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is we played it safe like the Deshaun Kaiser year and took a guy that had some arm talent and played it safe, and we saw where it got us. I love Will Howard. I think he fits this offense perfectly in terms of his skill set, what he brings to the table, what he lacks at, all of it. I think he's a perfect fit for a Kevin Stefanski offense. That being said, I took this topic thinking starting quarterback, right? If we're starting Will Howard in 2025, regardless if we draft him in the first round, second round, third round, wherever he ends up actually being drafted, it's a C to me, because this guy is at most, or at best, still a developmental guy that you want to sit for a year or two, learn the system, get used to some things, get his arm ready for the NFL side of football, and then go out and attack. If Will Howard's starting week 1 for us, either we got the biggest diamond in the rough and my C doesn't make any sense, or it's another one of those situations where every other option kind of fell flat for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that 100%. I just would really love to see him in Cleveland to do exactly what you said of sit a year or two and then come on.
Yeah. And again, I take this in terms of starting for 2025, right? Like, yes, I want a developmental guy like Will Howard on our bench. I like a Kyle Trask as a third developmental guy, you know, potential backup type of player. But if we're talking starting quarterback 2025, not Will Howard, not yet. He could be on the roster, totally fine with it, but not yet. Continuing on with our rookie quarterback trend, we have a guy that has started to be brought up in terms of the Cleveland Browns, in terms of mock drafts and that kind of thing, and that is one Cam Ward. What do you rate Cam Ward as a fit for your Cleveland Browns?
I gave him an A minus.
Why is that?
I think he is my quarterback 1 in the draft this year. I mean, he's overall solid is how I would describe him as a prospect. And I think he's one of those guys that if Cleveland ends up with him, the best way to develop him or get him ready to go, throw him out there week 1 and then let him learn in week 2, in week 3, and so on. It's going to be a rough first year with him, I do think. So in terms of that, it's not, an A plus, but after year 1, I think he'll start going nuclear.
So I like Cam Ward as a prospect. I think he has a lot of talent here, but I don't know. I question his fit with Stefanski, and I question some of his decision making. He scares me a little bit of like how Jameis Winston was a top pick in his NFL draft, but he had some erratic decision making that still is biting him in the ass in year 11, 12, 10, whatever it is. I might be overshooting that, but I say this to say I like Cam Ward as a prospect. I think he is a top quarterback prospect in this draft. He just scares me with the decision making. He also is an ACC quarterback, which I got some cold feet with that after Deshaun Watson now. that makes me just wonder, does it make sense? Is he the guy for Cleveland? Could he be the guy somewhere else? Yes, but is he the guy for the offense and the scheme and the system that we run? I don't know. I think there's a better player and a better fit on the board here for that.
I do think that's fair. The fit is definitely questionable, but I think he's one of those athletes that'll be able to make it work and just make himself fit.
I hope so if we draft him. I don't know, after listening to all the different talks about this NFL quarterback class, this draft class, right? And how it isn't a great draft class for quarterbacks. I just don't know how I see that type of guy that can just make himself work being here after all of the dirt that has been thrown in terms of the quarterback position. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe both top guys, Will Howard and then Jackson Dart too. Maybe they all pan out somehow, some way. But right now, I've been alluding to it for the most part. Let's get to the guy that I think is the best fit. The more and more I think about the Cleveland Browns and their offense, one, Shador Sanders. What do you rate him as a draft pick?
I rated him a B, which I want to make that very abundantly clear is lower than what I rated Cam Ward. And I know I'm one of the very few people that seem to feel this way, but he's just not it. That's how I feel about him. I don't know how to describe it much more than that. He just doesn't look like the guy that's going to be elite at the next level. I know he fits perfectly in the Cleveland system. And like Noah said, if we do end up taking him, I hope he works out, and I hope he is. And I'm often wrong about quarterbacks. When I'm hating on them, I'm almost always wrong. So maybe that's a good sign. And I'm almost positive, Noah, you disagree with me on this one. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not super far off, really. I have him at a B plus. Again, I'm still very hesitant about quarterback in this NFL draft. If they are going quarterback at number 2 and both Cam Ward and Shador are there, I start to lean towards Shador because of his fit with Kevin Stefanski, like you said. His offensive coordinator is in the same coaching tree as Kevin Stefanski. The quarterbacks coach for the Browns that just got upgraded to quarterbacks coach has a connection to Deion Sanders and the Sanders family. I love the fact that Shador is courting us in the media and being like, the Browns should pick me because I like playing with them in the game and I like this, that, and the other. And I'm excited for my meeting with the Browns. I like all of this kind of stuff, some of the stuff that doesn't really matter. And I agree with the fact that that doesn't matter. But if we're talking about quarterback fits in terms of the number 2 overall pick between Cam Ward and Shador, because there's no Jackson Dart that's going higher in the or Will Howard that's going anything crazy, in the top 10. Shador to me is the number 1 fit for this team, and I could see him having a lot of success. He has a lot of background, working with quarterback coaches, working in NFL style training because of his father and all the setup and prep that Deion has laid out for Shador. I could see him being a good fit. We don't need him to be an absolute lights out superstar to be a successful team. Matt, you are a Baker bro. You were a Baker bro. He could be better than Baker, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean he's going to be Pat Mahomes either. If he's somewhere in that bracket between 3 and 10, ranking wise, 4 and 10, so that tier 2 quarterback, I think this team has every shot in the world to go and win a championship.
I would agree with that. If he does end up being that level of quarterback. Here's a concern of mine that I haven't really heard talked about much. And you kind of talked about it earlier with different guys, and I want to hear what you think in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he played at Colorado in the Big 12. It's not a great conference. He didn't play many great teams, and he didn't win every game. Like, are you not concerned with the level of competition he played? Like, yeah, it was D1 football, absolutely, but he wasn't playing like SEC or Big 10 ball, as people say.
Yeah, let me ask you what the best quarterback in the NFL, what conference he played in.
Valid point. I don't
Patrick
disagree.
Mahomes played in the Big 12, and he is the best quarterback in the NFL. So I make the ACC jokes because it's the ACC in my mind, and it's more of a basketball conference. Um, I don't think conference play matters as much as people act like it does in terms of NFL prospects. It does in terms of the dichotomy of college football playoffs, but that's a whole different conversation. So I get what you're saying, but I'll raise you my Patrick Mahomes card.
No, I mean, I do agree with that. I was just more so curious to see if that was even a concern on your radar or not of, he wasn't playing elite teams every week.
Now, my concern is when he played elite teams, didn't always look the best. That is a concern 100% to me. But again, system wise, scheme fit wise, I think he's a good fit for this Cleveland Browns roster. You ready to move to the next one, or you want to press me some more about Shador?
No, I think I'm all good.
Okay, sounds good. Next guy, huge one. I've made him my hot take, linked to the Cleveland Browns multiple times. One, Kirk Cousins. Matt, what do you grade it?
I gave Kirk a B. I mean, I've been a Kirk lover. I love the guy. I think he's a very good quarterback. He just might not be enough with this team. Like, he had significantly better receivers in Minnesota and still couldn't get it done there. Granted, I think we have a much better defense than he ever had in Minnesota. And I think he could elevate some of our receivers to be a bit better. But he's almost like, and I kind of regret writing this down as a note that I wanted to say, but he's like a Walmart Matt Stafford, and we'll get to him in a minute, but he's solid.
Value.
I just don't think he's enough.
The great value Matt Stafford is funny as hell to call him that. I also give him a B. He excites me for his ability to play in Stefanski's offense. We've seen it before with him. He's had some of his best seasons under Stefanski, so I think it makes sense. Cheap option, bring him in, works here for a year, 2 years maybe, draft a guy, then the guy becomes the guy, and we move forward from there. So he's a B. Like, I think it makes it fun again, and we might make a playoff berth, but in terms of like really pushing the needle, who knows? I doubt it. He's never really pushed the needle in terms of that kind of thing anywhere we've gone, but I think he's a good fit for this roster and a good fit with Kevin Stefanski based off of what we've seen in the past. So I give him a B. Matt, we got one more guy on the board. One guy who is linked to the Cleveland Browns as early as this morning. One, Matt Stafford, quarterback from the Rams, might be on the trade block. The Browns might have to give up some stuff for him. What do you rank him?
I gave Matt Stafford an A+++++++.
Do tell.
I mean, he's proved he can elevate a team that he's brand new to. He's the ideal guy to bring in, win now, convince Myles Garrett to stay in Cleveland, and also have a guy sit behind him and learn. Like, Matt Stafford can win a Super Bowl next year in Cleveland, in my opinion, while teaching whoever we draft how he's doing it and how to be an NFL quarterback. And I think that's, the ideal dream scenario for this offseason. That's the way that gives me hope for this Browns team moving forward. I'm really interested to see how you feel about him, Noah.
Yeah, so I know you're a Matt Stafford fan in general. I gave him an A+. I wasn't as ecstatic as you were. Matt Stafford, if the Browns were able to pull this off, could potentially turn and save this franchise in a way that people are very doom and gloom and down on right now. Myles Garrett, I think, with an addition of Matt Stafford, would rescind a trade request. I think whatever you have to give up, they say it's a first-round pick. We're not giving him number 2. I don't even know if they would give him 33 because it's basically a second first-round pick. It's just one pick later. But depending on what you give up there, regardless, that it's all semantics at the end of the day. Matt Stafford to come in here for 2 years, like you said, would be a perfect fit for the Cleveland Browns. Will he do it? Who knows? There were a couple teams listed. The Steelers were listed. The Raiders were listed. In terms of teams set up to win now, I think it could end up being a sweepstakes between us and Pittsburgh. Granted, that would also have to hang your hat on the thought process of Myles Garrett not requesting the trade and other pieces falling particularly well. But Matt Stafford to Cleveland in an offense like Kevin Stefanski, it gets me excited, man. It gives me goosebumps because it makes me feel like I can have hope for a team that also has the second overall pick this year. You know what I mean? And to be in that position when it feels like all hope is lost is something I think Cleveland Browns fans are kind of owed, not by the team, not the players or the league or the rest of the team doing everything they can to give us some actual hope. That isn't well, let's hope Kirk Cousins or let's hope that Sam Darnold comes here and repeats his success. It makes me excited, man. It would make me ecstatic. Will it happen? But if it does, that show's going to be great. That's all I'm going to say.
That would be, we'd be doing shots on live streaming this show. I tell you that.
We didn't say that out loud, YouTube, just so you know. Matt, you got anything else for Mr. Matt Stafford before we move on to final thoughts and hot takes?
I do kind of want to catch you off guard with something. And this is stemming directly from the Matt Stafford talk. And this is kind of, and I don't want to go super far into it because this can be a whole topic later. But we basically talked about everybody. I'm going to lay out my dream plan for quarterback now that we're this close to it culminating. And I want to see what you think about it. So like we just said, obvious, it's trade for Matt Stafford, get him in here. I think you're looking at moving like one of our DBs, and I do think our second round pick would go in that, and then you could probably get Matt Stafford back there. I think you trade out a number 2 to the middle of the first round and more capital this year, next year, whatever, and then you bring in Willie to sit behind Matt Stafford. I think that's the dream. Love the plan, how it should go. I would love it.
Will Howard in the first round is a big no from me, dog. I'm going to leave it at that. Will Howard is a middle second round or backwards talent in my mind. And if someone wants to reach that high on Will Howard, they can gladly have them. I don't mind moving out a second, accumulating assets so we can maybe add a quarterback in the following year. Just add a guy like Mason Graham. Mason Graham could end up being the best defender in this draft. But adding a guy like Mason Graham who isn't at an edge or a corner or a quarterback, one of these top tier positions, but defensive tackle with Mike Hall, Myles Garrett, assuming he would stay with the Matt Stafford addition, that is more exciting to me than adding a Will Howard in the first round. I think that is a reach and a half, and you've got your Buckeyes tinted glasses on when you say that. Yes, I know he's climbing draft boards a little bit, but Will Howard in the first round is a big no for me.
I guess that's valid. I don't know why I wrote that down as, use that first on him. But thinking about it more, you're absolutely right. It probably shouldn't be the first. It definitely shouldn't be the first. But I would like to see us pick him up and let him sit behind Matt Stafford.
For sure. I wouldn't mind that at all if it was a second round or a third round pick. First round, hell no. But I digress, Matt. This was a fun little exercise, seeing where we're at. Hopefully we'll get an answer sooner rather than later at quarterback. The combine starts this week. Matt, time to wrap this show up as we always do. Random thoughts, hot takes. What's your random thought or hot take for the week?
I'm going to circle back to approximately, let's say, 45 seconds ago and fire you up again. Will Howard's going to be the best quarterback in this draft. And you can argue a brick wall out of it. Come back to this in 5 years.
Hey, I could totally see it. I think some of the talent's there. I also could see this take blowing up in your face, and I can't wait to use it against you in some sort of clip later on, especially if the Browns take a quarterback and he pans out. But that's funny. That's funny. You're allowed to be hot with your hot take. My hot take... Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think of anything that really, really gets me going. Here, I got a hot take for you. That shouldn't be hot. It's a little hot, but not real hot. the Cavs should pay Ty Jerome whatever they physically can to keep him in Cleveland and have him continue to stick on this roster. Yes, it'll put them in luxury tax hell. Yes, it could complicate things down the line, but Ty Jerome has proven time and time again, last night's game included, that he is going to be and is an important piece of whatever the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing to move towards winning an NBA Finals and an NBA championship. So pay that man, convince him to stay. I don't know if you got to convince him under the table that it's okay to take a few $1,000,000 less to go compete. But whatever we got to do to keep Ty Jerome, keep that man on this roster at all damn costs. You feel me, Matt?
I agree with you 100%. He's one of those players that he always does what the Cavs need him to do to win the game. Like,
And
he just seems to step up. Sorry, go ahead.
And he's not just like a deli version of that player, right? Like, he has been playing at an offensive and defensive, but offensive clip that is like he could end up being a bigger name somewhere else. But keep that man at all costs. Please, because the city loves him. He's a great fit. He's got one of his Virginia Cavaliers here with him now, and Hunter. Keep this core together because they're going to be something special. If they don't win it this year, I could see it happening sooner rather than later, regardless. And I feel damn good about this year, man.
I do think this is the first year of a potentially long championship window.
And I hope you're right, man. But listen, you have been listening in or watching, if you're watching on the YouTube version, to At the Office, a Cleveland sports show. If you're listening to the audio version, please hit that download button. If you are watching the YouTube version, please hit subscribe, leave us a comment. We'll come back. We'll talk with you. We love talking sports with the people who interact with our content. Matt, it's been a pleasure as always. Check us out on social media as well. Sorry, forgot that one. @TheOfficeCLE. That's @TheOfficeCLE. Cleveland, it's been real. Enjoy your Monday. Have a hell of a week. And until next time, stay up. Peace.